Hello YouTube. I'm making this video because there's something I'd like to bring out about two very important books that I have read in my life, at least for a big part. And I want to introduce them a little bit to my viewers of my channel. The first book is Rulers of Evil from Tupper Saussy, and the second book is Behold the Pale Horse from William Cooper. There's one thing, one sentence that I also put in this video here, and that is a quote from the book of Tupper Saussy. The only new thing in this world is the history you don't know, which shall be the title of the video if it's not too long. That's a quote from Harry Truman, 33rd President of the United States of America. And in that point of view, you really have to know that there is a lot of history that we don't know. Because, and that is also stated by Tupper Saussy in his book, when you go a little bit further to there into the book, I'm just gonna look this up here right now. That is very interesting to say. Tupper Saussy made a quote that deals with the education of the people. Quote, most colleges today are turning out graduates who have studied little or no history. In 1914, 90% of America's elite colleges required history. In 1939 and 1964, more than 50% did. By 1996, only one of the 50 best schools offered a required history course. The day is approaching, perhaps, when the only historians will be amateurs who study history as self-help, who examine the past in order to make sense of the present and not to be caught unprepared by the future. This is something we really have to think about, because our educational system, as we all know, is more indoctrination than really learning something. Okay? So I'm gonna read a little bit from the book Rulers of Evil from Tupper Saussy. A link to download that book on PDF will be provided in the description box of the video. I will see how long my 50 minutes take me, and if I can still do something on Bill Cooper and reading a few pages of his book Behold the Pale Horse, and if not, I will just make a second video and link it together. I want to begin with reading something of the preface of the book. Quote, the only people in the world, it seems, who believe in the conspiracy theory of history are those of us who have studied it. While Franklin D. Roosevelt might have exaggerated when he said, nothing happens in politics by accident, if it happens it's what planned that way. Carroll Quigley, Bill Clinton's favorite professor at Jesuit Georgetown University, boldly admitted in his Tragedy and Hope from 1966 that A. the multitudes were already under the control of a small but powerful group bent on world domination, and B. Quigley himself was part of that group. Internet conspiracy sites strive to identify the conspiratorial factions. We get pieces here and pieces there. The world is run by Freemasons, some say. Others say Skull and Bones and a loose confederation of secret societies. CIA gets lots of votes, along with the Mossad, though I suspect these fractions are merely tools, and, of course, the British. A major frontrunner is the international banking cartel. When Victor Marsden published the Protocols of the Elders of Zion in 1906, which purported to be a Jewish plan to take over the world, Jewish writers denied responsibility, charging a Catholic plot to defame Jewry. Whose side was Marsden on? You can get so deep into conspiracies that the suspects start cancelling each other out. It can become frustrating. I'm happy to report that F. Tupper Saussy has come to our emotional rescue. During his 10 years as a fugitive from the Department of Justice, convicted of a crime that cannot be found in the law books, Saussy occupied himself with an investigation into the powers that be. It was an investigation the likes of which, as far as I know, has never before been undertaken. The fruit of his amazing legwork is Rulers of Evil, a powerful book that in less loving hands might have even might have been angry and judgmental. Saussy's thesis: there is indeed a small group that runs the world, but we can't call it a conspiracy because it identifies itself with signs, mottos, and monuments. Signs, mottos, and monuments, you ask? Quick, what occupies the highest point on the US Capitol building? It's probably the most oft-published statue on the earth. And you can't name it? As long as you don't know whose feet are firmly planted atop your country's legislative center, or how she got there, or whence she came, the group that controls America remains invisible. Once you know these things, the fog begins lifting. Saussy analyzed hundreds of signatory clues left by the true rulers of the world, clues that we have perhaps been trained to ignore. He's traced them into their origins and matched them to facts of history going back 6,000 years, all balanced against the most reliable human reference work there is, the Bible. The result? An unavoidable touchstone for all future works on the subject. Rulers of Evil is an indispensable study book that you'll probably deface from cover to cover with highlighting. By all means, keep it on your lower library shelf, within close reach of inquisitive children. And this foreword, or this preface, was written by Pat Shannon, journalist at large, a media bypass. We come to the next point, and that is the foreword. Whether or not it's appropriate for a literary agent to write his client's foreword, I don't know. If I'm breaking the rules here, well, this is a rule-breaking book. Example: during last spring's book expo in Los Angeles, I agently introduced my client Tupper Saussy to one of New York's most unshockable publishing executives. As Tupper articulately summarized Rulers of Evil for him, I personally witnessed the brow of this fearless executive develop a twitch. I saw him actually gulp. With my own ears, I heard him say, "This is a little too extreme for us." The twitch developed as Tupper was saying, "The Roman Catholic Church really does run the world, including the United States government, and this is openly declared in monuments, emblems, and insignia as well as official documents." By the time Tupper calmly reached his payoff, "and this is good because it's divinely ordained," the executive was staring into space. Alright, Rulers of Evil is extreme. Does that frighten you? It was researched and written during a decade of flight that probably saved the author's life from vindictive federal authorities. I wanted to represent his book from the moment I read the first draft back in 1993, completely unaware that its author could claim the classic Miracle on Main Street as his own. Tupper Saussy's identity was not revealed to me until his capture in 1997. He can keep a secret. Little byquote, what he was sentenced for is in the afterword that is also enclosed in a link in the description box to this video. Continue. Like no book I've seen in my 30 years of literary agenting, Rulers of Evil lays out who's really who in world powers, pegs them as evil, about as evil as the rest of us, more or less, and then explains how spiritual wickedness in high places works for the ultimate good of mankind. It's the book about conspiracies that doesn't advocate throwing the bums out. Rulers of Evil is a most self-helped product. The useful knowledge it imparts reveals the world structure as it really is. Once we can see, our choices increase, our pathway widens, our lives improve. But don't expect a breeze. Parts of the book are so rich in historical detail that your brain might feel overburdened. When that happens, just flip to more readable parts, or study the pictures. My client doesn't mind being read casually. Back to front, front to back, middle out, a few pages at a time. Enjoy freedom of movement. If a chapter doesn't fit today's mood, find another that does. Use a bookmark or the dust jacket flaps. Ultimately, you'll get it all. And when you do, I predict you'll be a different person. You'll have a new worldview, one shaped by evidence that has never been assembled quite this way before. I can't say with this confidence because Rulers of Evil is still influencing my own life, having begun in me a process of answering many of the heretofore unanswerable questions of our time. This foreword was written by Peter Fleming. So I can really advise everyone to get a copy of that book, Rulers of Evil. And also I can advise everyone to take a copy of that book, Behold the Pale Horse, from Bill Cooper. But the video time is not long enough to read also parts of that book now, because then that will say I will just make another video where I start reading from that. But I want to read a little part of that is also put into the description. And that is one kind of a foreword to the book Behold the Pale Horse. And it's the following, quote, "One basic truth can be used as a foundation for a mountain of lies, and if we dig down deep enough in the mountain of lies and bring out that truth to set it on top of the mountain of lies, the entire mountain of lies will crumble under the weight of that one truth. And there's nothing more devastating to a structure of lies than the revelation of the truth upon which the structure of lies was built, because the shock waves of the revelation of the truth reverberate and continue to reverberate throughout the earth for generations to follow, awakening even those people who had no desire to be awakened to the truth." So, I took some quotes from some books, and I dare you all to download the books and read them for themselves. I will make more videos of it and read part of the books. Most of all, this video is done to inform you about that there is a truth that you don't know, and the most important part of that truth that you don't know is that people today are so far away from the Bible that they have no idea how much religion impacts all of our lives. We are pulled into a matrix and living in that matrix, and there are a lot of things they don't tell us. And there are a lot of things that we don't even want to research anymore, because people just go out for work, come home, eat, drink, watch television, and don't start to think anymore. And the rulers of this world, who have always been the same, are going to make use out of that. Our ignorance will be our fate. So as long as we have the possibility to use the internet and to inform ourselves and to educate ourselves, we should do that. And never forget the most important book that is always written, because everything is written already. And that's why I made the first quote: "The only new thing in this world is the history you don't know. Everything else is written. Everything else is written in the Bible. And you have just to study the Bible and read the Bible, and you will also find the solution to the problems that we have now in fighting the New World Order." Okay, that was it for this video so far. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will make another one and reading more passages. Okay? God bless you all.